Today we're gonna go through my 5 sketchbooks, which represents 6 months plus of work. Oh, I'm already running the decor. This one started in August of 2024 and ended in October of 2024, and on the cover I have this illustration of Detective Conan. Then we move on to a test page. We move on to this page where I started creating this OC called Amara, who is really pretty, as you can see. And basically she's this pop star princess, and she has this princess vibe going on. And here I tried on some logos. Then we have one of my favorite pages of this sketchbook, which is a fish orange themed sketch page. And I drew my favorite things, orange and ocean themed stuff. So here you have some fishes. This one is my favorite, honestly, because he looks so lost. And then here I drew Cody from Surf's Up, saying my favorite quote of all time in the movie Surf's Up, which is "Cody's me, bro."
I understand why mom's judgmental.
I think it's because she cares partially. It's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me. When is that gonna start? Whatever tomorrow.
Then we have... Okay, so the only problem with this sketchbook is the fact that these pages detach so easily. So here we have a Donald Duck spread, and it's just Donald but in realism. And I drew a little daisy over here. Here is a Snow White themed page. Basically, I decided to put Hello Kitty in an alternative universe in which she is Snow White, and Daniel is obviously Prince Charming. And then we have Kuromi as the evil witch, and the others as the 7 dwarves. Okay, so well, I don't really know what else to say about this page. I mean, it's super hand. Here we have 2 of my favorite OCs, Layla and Charlie, and they are part of a story that I draw a lot in my sketchbook, so you'll see them often. And if not Charlie, just Layla and her siblings. More Detective Conan in this page. I drew them in sticky notes. Here's a sketch I did. I remember there was this song going around, "When the Night Calls," and basically people were drawing their Bat-so-ness, and I don't really enjoy watching Batman, but my sister does, so I drew her as Batman and me as Robin. And fun fact, we actually have the costumes. She has the Batman costume and I have the Robin one, which is padded like crazy. Here we have sketches that I intended to use for a video for a skit but never did. And here's more of Amara. Here I was experimenting more outfits for her. I was trying to see what else I could do with this princess theme vibe going on. Here I tried a heart-shaped stage. I think I saw this somewhere, so it might not be an original idea. Here I have more outfits. This one looks like the outfit of... It reminds me of the outfit of Annalise in The Princess and the Pauper. Here I tried more silk stuff. Yeah, okay. Here I have a sketch that is unfinished of some mermaids. And here, okay, so basically I had this thing when I really wanted to make a children's book about some character that was going around the world, just to see how well I would do with making a book, basically. And so I created this character just for this purpose. She's called Mira. She's a mermaid traveler, and basically she's a mermaid that would go around the coasts of certain countries and learn about their culture, and she would collect stuff from these countries in this bag. And I never went through this story, but I kept Mira and I reused it for one of my most worked comics, and you'll see her later on. Here I drew more of Mira. I tried to give her more stuff to work on, but she kept her corset. I really like the corset, but she only has like pants and skirts to go along with it. More sketches of mermaids. These ones were referenced of people who were doing mermaiding. Okay, so this is a really bad sketch, but it's spoilers for the story in which Mira is going to be in. Some eyes. It's the story of the Mighty Tuna, which is a pirate ship owned by this captain right here that she turned into a retirement home / cruise. And basically the story is, I'm gonna go back to this later on. The story is that she has 2 grandchildren, Shelly and Kid, right here, and she wants to retire. She wants to enjoy her last years, and so she decided that she will pass down the ship to one of her grandchildren. So instead of passing it down to Kid, who is really motivated and really loves the ship, she passes it down to Shelly, who doesn't really care for the job. And Kid is obviously upset. Mystica, she is a fortune teller and she's also a witch. And basically, at some point, this guy right here wanted to turn into an octopus. He wanted to have more hands to help out more. The spell didn't work like it was intended, and in a strange turn of events, instead, Malvina turned into a parrot, and now they have to find a new globe for Mystica because at the same time the globe broke and now they can't turn Malvina back into a human. And so while they look up for a new globe, Shelly decides to abandon the captain post and gives it to Kid, who is really thrilled to be captain. And Malvina has to watch this go down. But fortunately for her, she is quite surprised to find out that Kid makes a way better captain and changes things around in a good way. He's called Dr. Broccoli, and he's called like this because he's always recommending for the old people to eat broccoli because it helps for their health, and so they call him Dr. Broccoli. And he's a part of their friend group. And Mira is a handy woman on the ship, and she's also part of the friend group. Okay, so I hope I didn't confuse you guys. But yeah, I'm gonna. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I know this looks like a weed fever dream. The background, I mean. These are some line art I've done for a video that I privated because the audio was so clapped. I just had to. You can't watch this anymore. And basically it was a redesign for the movie Standing Ovation, which was one of my childhood staples that you can also find for free on YouTube. And so here are the line work. I'm actually fine with the fact that this video is privated because I didn't end up liking the stage costumes I did for them, but in general I really like how the characters turned out. It's just the stage costumes don't look that good. Okay, so here's more line work. more line work. And I invented this just for the redesign. I added these characters in the story, and they're called the Backstreet Dads, and I even recorded a song at the end. But yeah,
Barbecue can look at the beef sizzling on the oxtails, Pearl Jam playing, got the fresh beer ready, my buddies to the side, my buddies to the side.
don't do tax fraud. And the single name was called Barbecue King. Here I was really obsessing over the Phantom of the Opera. I just watched the musical. And fun fact, I actually never watched musicals at all. The only musicals you can say I watched were the Disney ones, like Descendants and High School Musical, but I don't think those count. So I watched Phantom of the Opera, and it's now one of my favorite musicals of all time. It's so good, and I did this drawing immediately after watching it. And I'm so upset because this sketch turned out so good, but her face ruins the entire thing. Here I did more sketches that look clapped as well. More sketches. Here's my profile picture for Instagram. Here I was making more sketches, and so here I retook the book series idea of a character going around the world, but this time I based it on my sister and a combo of my two dogs. She lives in this car trailer house thingy. Here I was working with some designs. I'm gonna go over this one quickly because I don't want this to be so long you guys get bored. So this one started immediately after I ended this one, but I don't recall when it ended. So I redrew my sister and one of my dogs in this page. Here I was working some ideas for the Descendants redesign. So I'm just gonna go through this quickly. If you want to watch this video, I will put it right here, and it has all the sketches in it. So okay, here I got some Posca like markers and I was trying them out, and this is a girl kissing a fish, and it turns out like the Princess and the Frog story, except the fish stays a fish but just bigger. And this is the day of their wedding, and the fish probably died because he can't breathe. Here is baby cloud angel. I really love the cape. I think the cape looks really cool. More sketches for the Descendants redesign, so I'm just gonna skim through this quickly. The fashion here was really inspired by Vivienne Westwood. And fun fact, after this, I got more into her fashion, and I even bought a book about her designs that is like huge. It's like as big as this. But I use it all the time when I want to make some new outfits. I always take reference from it. I think it's way better than going on Google and search up for outfits. Okay, here I was drawing sharks and some guy. Here I was trying to make a girl based on stingrays, but she looks like Penny from Gumball, so okay. Here is the page where I birthed catfish. Okay, so I have this thing with fishes. I always have those two characters that you probably have seen if you already watched my videos, Cadet Bubbles and General Finn, and I wanted to add a third one because I wanted to give them more company, and I decided to make a catfish. And here I was really basing it off a real catfish, but he turned out really ugly, so I changed the color palette and now he looks like this. And I thought Cat could be a nickname for a horrendous name, so I called him Katrina's. That's his name. And his special interest is hair and makeup, and so he always does my personas hair and makeup before a video. Here's my persona I was really working on to make new sprites that would look cool, and I really like the line art I did here more than the actual sprites that I ended up going for. Here I learned that dolphins are evil, and so yeah, I had to make a sprite. Thumbnails for something that I will show you later on. Here is Camilo. He is the step... Well, actually, I don't really know if you can call him a stepbrother, but basically he's related to Layla, the character you saw previously. Layla's grandma adopted him, so her uncle, but he's more like a brother to her and her sister. And his thing is that he really loves ducks, so I drew him here with ducks. I was warming up with crayons, so I made a sun, one of my dogs, and the moon. Okay, now we have Layla, Camilo, and Layla's sister Nico. And I was trying to work out a palette that would make them visually interesting when they were all together, but it looks really clapped. Glad I didn't went with this. Here I drew a figure skater. She deserves a moment because I really love how it turned out. Here I was drawing pictures from Pinterest, and oh my god, I have no words. More thumbnails for drawings I didn't end up doing.
What's up guys, it's Quandale Dingle here.
Third sketchbook. Here I tried to draw my dog as a princess, and I really love how her hair turned out. I think she looks really, really cool, and I wanted to do the same for my other dog, but he looks like Mario, and he's clapped. Here I had just watched The Princess Switch, and I had to draw Vanessa Hudgens. Okay, here is another brainstorming couple of pages for another video, so I'm just gonna skim right through it. If you want to watch it, it's my Christmas video. I'm gonna put it right here. Here are some gouache paintings I did for the MC. That's her living room, and that's her front door. And I really love how this one turned out, especially the car. I think it looks really awesome. I used gouache for both of those, but I added colored pencils on top to add more texture and this kind of children book look to it that I wanted to go through all the movie. Here it was supposed to be a gouache painting, but I ended up not doing it. That's after I watched the bootleg of Wicked. That's Daphne from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Okay, that one is bad. More brainstorming sketches I did for my Christmas video. Here I drew Detective Conan's vehicles because they look really cool. That's AG's bike, that's the Beetle car, and that's Jane's porch. So yeah, I drew them over quickly. More Christmas sketches. Okay. Testing the toilet again. Here is where I started making this character called Ella Flute. and it's an elephant that has a flute trunk, and you can play music. And that's a monkey saxophonist. And that's the last sketch, really, because after this I didn't use it at all, and I now rip out the pages to make other stuff.
Including battery on a police officer.
We start strong with this page that I made of this character I made up in high school, which is called Robooster, and he's a spy rooster. Here is him saving up some chicks. Thanks for saving us, Robooster. And he also has this egg gun. And some, I thought I explored. Here are more characters of the story I draw a lot. They are called Kai and Cora, and it's those two mermaids that end up meeting the other characters, and I love their design so much. They have an inverted color palette, if you couldn't tell, and they look so cool. Especially Cora, she looks so cool. Kai only looks cool when he's not in the water because he has this like wolf cut going on. And the flowers. Can you tell I started missing the summer? Can you tell? More of Ella Flute. Here's Taylor. Brainstorming sketches I did for another video where I had to make up characters based on Mii's I had on my Nintendo. It's redrawn almost every 2 years. I really love this one, and also this one. I think I draw this a lot also because I love how they look on the photography. Russians. Here I did some 10-minute sketches that I glued on these pages of 5 Seconds of Summer because I had just watched the live show they had put on their YouTube, and you can tell they're 10-minute sketches because oh my god, he looks really clapped. This drawing I had done when I was really tired, and it's basically this sheep that has to change barns every now and then because of wolves, and she has to escape for the night, and she gets like 0 hours of sleep. That's a girl under the rain. More sketches of my dog. Here he looks really weird. I think you can tell by now that I was starting to really miss summer really bad. More expressions I had done with markers. They look really cool. I really like these pages. Ta-da! And I use line of action for these sketches. Here I was drawing some hands, also using line of action. That's Layla but bald. That's Layla and Charlie going to the skate park because basically they live in an island where it's really warm, but when it gets cold they can't surf obviously, so they switch it up for skating, and Layla had never skated before, so he's trying to teach her how to. Here's more of them. So Layla doesn't even wear the shoulder pads or the helmet, and so when she falls really bad, but she doesn't really care. More of Layla and Charlie going to skate, except this time Layla brings Nico and Camilo with her. Here I was working on some sprites. Here I was drawing the island in which Layla lives. Here is a sketch I've done watching A Cinderella Story for like the 4th time this year. More sketches. This girl is also in Layla's comic story. And she's a witch, but I really like drawing her because she's also so fashionable. Here I was trying to figure out her hair and her face. She looks like Madison Beer in this sketch specifically. As you can tell, I didn't really have her face figured out right here because she looks so different between those two sketches. Okay.
How you are,
Thumbnails for drawings that I ended up not completing. Here I was redesigning the antagonist in Layla's comic book. And he's a hammerhead shark turned human, I guess you could say. But I tried to make it look like a real hammerhead shark because here. So his thing is that he doesn't like that he doesn't look like actual humans because he doesn't have hair, and so he cut hair from his boss and put it over his head and under his mouth like a mustache. His boss is called Vince and he's called Ego. Here they're trying to figure out his clothes, and at first, since he's really huge and they don't really have clothes his size, they were trying to spray paint his costume to see if it would be enough, but they didn't have any paint for the back, so in the end they ended up making him custom clothes. I tried to have their height differences here. Here's a little drawing of Ego and Vince, and Ego is carrying Vince on his shoulder. Here he looks really tiny, and that's Ego swimming and Vince on his shoulder. More of my character for an Instagram post, but I think I'm gonna reuse it as a sprite because it looks really good. That's when I had an 80s hyperfixation and I made this story that you'll see on the bigger sketchbooks with characters from the 80s, and this one is a detective that is investigating a restaurant in which children always disappear after using the arcades. Here's an explanation of a character I made up for this same story. And lastly, we have the sketchbook I finished a week ago in the time I'm filming this. So this one I completed in like 3 weeks-ish. Here I drew more of the width, and you can tell by those 2 pages that I spent a little too much time on the internet around this time because of this and this. Here I drew more mermaids and this shell that looks really cool. Here I was drawing some feet because I wanted to see how much progress I would have made with a book I was intending to buy soon. Here is a spread I made for Valentine's Day, and these are characters that are quite old. I would say I created them 4 years ago. And it's this Cupid character and this girl he met in Italy called Stella, and he has a crush on Stella. So I made a page on them. They don't really have an interesting story, but I really love to draw them. That's the spread I made. And fun fact, all of those pages were done in one sitting because I was so excited to finally have a sketchbook again after 1 week of not drawing at all. Here's a page I did when I was having art block, but I really wanted to draw, so I just scrambled over this spread. This character is one of the antagonists in Layla's comic book. So basically here she is a good person. She doesn't turn evil yet, and her hair is looking thick, it's looking healthy. And right after she turned evil, she cut her hair and it looks botched, and she also looks a little tired. Here I started binge watching Modern Family and I wanted to draw my favorite character, but I really did not eat up this page up.
You leave me alone. Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Here I drew Layla and Nico waking up And that's a sketch I found after a while. I just sticked it right here so I wouldn't lose it again. That is Layla and Yigo, and they're frenemies. So I wanted to make a little sketch of how they are interacting. Here I'm trying to rework the design of Nico and Layla's grandma, because before she looked like this and it was bad, and now she looks like this. She cultivates olives, and so I gave her olive shaped glasses, olive earrings, and olive pearls to wear, and even an olive brooch. More stuff for Nico and Layla's comic book. And here I was working on some motifs that would be present in the city that they live in. Here are more sketches of my dogs, especially this one because she looks like a princess. Here are more sketches. I really love the hair I did for these ones. These characters look really cool. And here's the progress I made with the book I bought. As you can see, it was way better. More sketches of Nico and Layla. Here Camilo is trying to save a duck, which doesn't want to be saved. Here's Layla winning a race when the others barely even started running. She's really into sports, that's why. Here's Camilo catching their pet eating his ducks. And those are two animals I made for the comic book in question. That's called an alley. That's like a giant blob that transports the citizens around, and it's made of water. It looks really cool. It looks really fun. And this one, I had a name for it, but I think I'm gonna change it. And it's this little guy over here with giant ass lips. Okay, moving on. More thumbnails for projects that I ended up not doing. Camilo, Layla and Nico in a shirt so that they would stop fighting. This random girl. Layla trying to stop Nico from studying, but that just looks creepy as hell. Here I was experimenting some shape language sketches of princesses and armors, and this jester over here. This one looks really fun. I redrew this girl over here and another princess in armor, and then here I started creating a character that I'm gonna draw more in the sketchbook that is called Adelina, and it's a princess that was waiting for her Prince Charming, but in the end he didn't come. Yeah, I didn't really exactly develop the story, but I think she looks really cool. More of Adelina, and she has this piece of armor right here, but I'm thinking of adding more on the legs because she needs to be protected more. And I already added it here on the hands, but I don't think it would be comfortable to have armor right up on the elbow. Okay, moving on. Here I was trying to work out a color palette that I had seen on an art book I really love, and so I was trying to put these colors on Adelina to see how they would look like together, but it looks straight up ass. Here I reworked it, and I think this looks way better. But I also tried orange on a blue background to see how it would look like, and I think this is what I'm going to go with for Adelina. More of her. Here she's pressing the ground, I guess, and here it's an unfinished sketch, but I drew some squirts I found on Pinterest, and this one looks really cool. Here, okay, so fun fact, I got a Detective Conan watch for my birthday, and the guy that sold it for me on eBay really wrapped it to the max with this magazine, and I had to reuse it somehow, so I just glued it over here after months of it just staying on one of my shelves, and I drew some cats over it. Here I drew a girl in a Alice in Wonderland costume that I found on Pinterest. Here I was studying. I don't really know how this is gonna help me, but okay. I was trying to replicate color palettes with the markers I already had from the TBHK art book, because I really love how the artist uses colors and her compositions are so cool, so I had to study it. So here I tried to replicate it. This is also okay, so all the art books and the Vivienne Westwood book were bought at the same time, so that's why you can see all of this on my sketchbook. Here I tried to redraw some Vivienne Westwood outfits I found on the book that I really enjoyed. This girl had a star belt, so that's the only reason why I drew her, but the outfits wasn't really my thing. I just drew it for the belt. Here are more outfits. This one is one of my favorites. Here I drew more expressions that I found on Line of Action. Here are more of Kit, Shelly, and Malvina. So here they're gonna have a party, and Malvina is having a fit of rage about it because she wants to turn back into a human. And I tried to give them voice claims, which is something I've never done with my characters before. So for Shelly, I decided that her voice claim would be Dove Cameron. For Kid, I didn't find an exact voice that would fit him in an English VA, so I picked the French VA for Kristoff in Frozen. And Malvina, I decided to go with Melissa McCarthy because I really was appalled by her performance as Ursula, and I think her voice would really suit Malvina. And also I gave Dr. Brox a voice claim. His voice claim would be Lewis from H2O, and he's him cooking for Shelly. Okay, so that's a good idea, but I ruined it completely with this weird ass line work and the colors. So basically here Layla is FaceTiming their grandma while they're running away from Vince and Yigo. And yeah, I think it looks fun. Here are pastels I did of fruits and some sea animals that look really cool. Here I was testing out the stamps to see which one was okay and which one wasn't. Here I was trying an orange marker to see if it was also working or not. And here I reused it for these mermaids that I drew. This one looks fire. Here I was trying to draw some thumbnails for this video, but they look straight up ass, especially this one. I thought I ate with this one. This one looks horrible always, especially for the eyes. The eyes look really weird. That list looks terrible. And that's it.